record. Good morning. And where we left off on Thursday, we were in the throes of talking about the trust account. You guys don't see anything on my screen right now, but you will. So we were in the throes talking about the trust account. If you guys want to look back at your notes, just a quick recap so we can get caught up, so we can finish up our trust account discussion. So the trust account, remember the basic definition of a trust account? It's an account that has somebody else's money. So if you have a trust account or your firm has a trust account, you are holding somebody else's money. You're acting as a safeguarding. We gave some examples of monies that we might see in the trust account. So some examples, if you're going into for sale, we're going to put our earnest money deposits in the trust account. No due diligence. Due diligence does not go in the trust account, but the earnest money does. If you are a property manager, then the money you're going to have in the trust account is going to be your security deposit. So again, you're just acting as an equal, as a fair, impartial holder. It's not your money. We talked about some requirements for the trust account. We said it's got to be separate. So if your firm or the closing attorney have a trust account, they actually have two totally different bank accounts. One to hold somebody else's money, and the other one is their operating account. That's what they pay their bills out of, receive commission checks, all that. So we have two separate accounts. Access to the trust account, who can view that, has got to be limited. It's got to be protected. It's got to be secured. So again, if your firm has a real estate, has a trust account, then you'll have instructions from your new BIC about, how to manage it, who to talk to when you need to make a deposit or you need to withdraw. So they'll have those policies into place. We also said the trust account, the money in the trust account was available on demand. So if all of your buyers terminated today, we need to disperse that earnest money to the buyer or the seller today. So the trust account is available on demand. It's lawfully doing business in North Carolina. We said firms only need one trust account unless, the exception to this was unless you're a property management company that manages more than one HOA. So if you have more than one HOA, let's say you have 5 HOAs, you're going to need 5 trust accounts. Does that make sense? Every single HOA gets their own trust account to manage. Other than that, you only need one. I think the example we gave last week, there are firms out there that do both for sale and for lease. And they can have earnest money and security deposit in the same account. Again, the only exception is the HOA. We said the biggest thing with the trust account, the biggest violation, the biggest reason we see the trust account pop up in the disciplinary action is commingling. And commingling is either putting your money in the trust account or taking money from the trust account and using it for your money, putting it in the operating account. Again, all good rules need an exception. So the exception to the no commingling rule is if your bank charges a fee. Maybe, for example, they charge a monthly service fee. If your bank charges a fee and it's going to be drafted directly from the trust account, then you can have up to $100 of your own money. No more than $100 of your own money. And that's just to cover the fees. When that $100 deplenishes, you can build it back up, but never any more than $100 to cover the fees. We said last week that trust accounts can be interest-bearing accounts. BIC is responsible. We talked about that. And this is about where we left off. So again, just a quick recap, but you guys have those notes from last week. Disbursement. This applies to earnest money deposit. So if the firm has the earnest money, at some point, we got to get the earnest money from the firm to the closing attorney. The closing attorney needs all the monies involved in this transaction so they can disperse accordingly. So if your firm has a trust account The commission rule says that they cannot disperse it. They cannot cut you a check no more than 10 days prior to settlement. If the closing attorney's holding the earnest money, it's already there and we don't have to worry about it. But if your firm holds the earnest money, and again, you guys, your firm will go over their policy with you. They'll tell you to, here's the clipboard, for example, or send an email to the admin 5 business days before settlement, for example, requesting the check to be cut. So we're just referring to commission rule. Commission rule says it cannot be dispersed no more than 10 days prior to settlement. And then the last thing we talked about before we left, and I want to make sure we're good on this. Again, this only applies to the earnest money. Anything on this slide is specific to earnest money. It doesn't fall under for security deposit. We know with the earnest money deposit, if the buyer terminates within due diligence, they'll get their earnest money back. If the buyer terminates after due diligence, the seller gets the earnest money back, or the seller gets the earnest money. So the contract is pretty clear about what happens to the earnest money if we don't go to closing, if we have to terminate. Here's the deal though. If we terminate, both parties have to agree to release the earnest money. There's a form for that. And both parties sign off acknowledging who is supposed to get that earnest money. And if either party refuses to sign, the earnest money is considered disputed funds. And despite what the contract says, the escrow agent has no right to release the earnest money when it's in dispute. Remember, they're not controlling it. They're not financing it. They're not regulating it. They're just acting as a safeguard. They're keeping it safe for the parties. And because of that, they have no right, no authority whatsoever to disperse the earnest money if they don't have everybody's signatures. So the escrow agent just needs to hang on to it. They can send multiple letters, make several requests. Of course, they may want to document that. I know some escrow agents have sent a letter via certified mail. So they have proof that they tried. But after a certain amount of time, and I don't remember the amount of time, but after a certain amount of time, if the parties still haven't agreed to release the earnest money, then the escrow agent can turn it over to the clerk of courts and let the two go downtown and hash it out. I think the thing that we need to understand from this second point here is that the escrow agent can't disperse the earnest money without permission, without written consent from both parties. So this is where we left off on Thursday. I got a little bit more to talk about with the trust account. So let's hold off. If we have any questions, let's hold off just 1 minute. Oh, okay, let's see. Does the bank that holds the trust account have to be in North Carolina? No. But it's got to be lawfully doing business in North Carolina. It doesn't have to be physically located here, but it's got to be lawfully doing business. Yep, thank you. So just a few more trust. No, you're good. Sorry. Okay, so we're asking to go back. FDIC. This is our review. So it's got to be an FDIC bank. It can't be in a credit union. It's got to be in an FDIC bank. Other questions so far before we finish up, before we wrap up the trust account? Anything we've talked about so far? Some rules about when we deposit. Commission rule says that money must be deposited within 3 banking days of receipt or contract formation. So let's talk about what we mean by receipt or contract formation. First off, everybody understand The buyer doesn't owe any money until we're under contract. Everybody good with that? Buyer doesn't owe a penny to anybody until we have a legally binding contract. So in the throes of negotiations, we might be forming the contract. We might be contract formation. So when we say 3 banking days of receipt or contract formation, there's 2 scenarios that this could fall under. The or means. Scenario number 1, and probably the most common, we negotiate, contract is accepted, buyer delivers earnest money, escrow agent has 3 banking days from receipt to deposit. So if you get the earnest money today, day 1 would be Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. If you get the earnest money today, you have 3 days to put that thing in your trust account. Or contract formation. This is the one that is less likely to happen, but it can still happen. So let's talk about this. Contract formation. You are in the throes of negotiations. You're negotiating the offer, and your buyer hands you their earnest money check. They give you they say, here you go. Will you hang on to this for me until we go under contract? If you accept that, when you accept that, you're not going to run to the bank and deposit it because the buyer doesn't owe any money until and if a contract is formed. So in the throes of negotiation, the buyer says, here's my earnest money deposit. Hang on to this for me. And you need to hang on to it until the contract is formed. So in this case, that 3 days would be if the contract is formed today, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday to get it in the bank. Because we already have it in our hand, but we can't deposit it until it's under contract. So it's got to be deposited. The escrow agent has got to deposit it either within 3 banking days of receipt or contract formation. Again, the rule, the fun rule to the exception to this rule is if you're ever handed cash, cash can go in the bank right away because cash is considered readily available funds and we don't need to wait for that to clear. If that contract is never formed, the offer never gets accepted, one of the parties rejects it, then we need to either dispose of the earnest money check per the buyer's instructions or hand it back to them. I had buyers once, he flew up from Florida for the week. We looked at properties Monday through Thursday. Friday, we looked at his top 3. He picked the one he wanted, then he got on a plane and went back to Florida. While he was in the air, I was writing his offer. And before he got on the plane, he handed me his earnest money and his due diligence checks because he knew we had talked about if this gets formed, we need to get that money. So that would be an example of when we didn't deposit it, why I hung on to it for them for that time. What questions do I have about this? To continue on with this, to say one more thing about this, you guys as provisional brokers cannot walk around with somebody else's money. As provisional brokers, you cannot walk around with somebody else's money. So you're a provisional broker, you're affiliated with a firm, you're active, you're in the throes of negotiation, your buyer says, here's my earnest money deposit, will you hang on to this for me? You need to run, don't walk, run to your broker in charge and let them hang on to it until we have a contract. Provisional brokers cannot walk around with somebody else's money. Full brokers should not. Always remember, when you have somebody else's money in your hand, you are responsible for it. So I don't care what your status is. Are you provisional broker? Are you a full broker? Are you a broker in charge? My suggestion is get that money to where it needs to go. When it's in your possession, you're responsible. So PBs cannot walk around with somebody else's money. You need to get it to your BIC to hang on to until contract formation. And then also under trust account rules, even though it's not trust account money, it does still cover option money if you're assisting in an option to purchase or in a sales contract. We have our due diligence fee. When it comes to option money, our due diligence fee, our job is to play courier. Our job is to deliver the money from point A to point B. I say do it as soon as possible so you're not responsible. Technically, commission rule says we have no more than 3 days to deliver. Again, if you have option money in your possession or due diligence fee, you're simply acting as a courier. They will allow us to deliver. Also, with this rule, let's walk through a scenario. You're a buyer's agent. You get your buyer under contract. Yay. And you call your buyer and you say, congratulations, we're under contract. We need to meet up this afternoon so I can get the earnest money and the due diligence check from you. So you and your buyer make arrangements to meet up. They hand you the earnest money and the due diligence, and you are en route to deliver it. You are on your way to take it to where it needs to go. And your buyer calls you and says, don't you deliver that earnest money or due diligence. Don't do it. Don't drop it off. Guys, if that happens, we need to follow their instructions. Remember, it's not my money. I have zero control over it. I'm only acting as delivery. Now, I can say, why? What's up? You know, this could give the seller a reason to terminate. We can talk about that. But ultimately, if they say, do not deliver it, if those monies are in your hand and your principal instructs you not to deliver it, we've got to follow their instructions. The last thing we have to say about the trust account is just a reminder. If it's in your possession, I don't care if your firm has a trust account or not. Somebody else's money is in your possession, you're responsible for it. What's the Real Estate Commission's number one purpose? Protect the public. And when we have the public's money in our hand, we need to treat it, safeguard it for everything we got. All right, what questions do we have on the trust account? Question comes in, do we have to have a trust account? No. First off, firms have trust accounts, not the individual agent. And the only reason that a firm would need a trust account is if they're going to hold somebody else's money. So if the real estate firm is not going to hold somebody else's money, then they don't need a trust account. You guys are going to see, I'm going to be shocked. When you guys get into sales, when you get into a sales firm, most of you are going to affiliate with a firm that doesn't have a trust account. I'm telling you, there are a lot of firms that are doing away with the trust account because it is such a liability. But here's the deal. Our closing attorneys have to have a trust account. So instead of the firm being liable, we finally figured out that we can turn it over to the attorney and let them be liable for it. But the attorneys are required to have a trust account because that's how they disperse all the money after settlement. So the due diligence fee goes directly to the seller. That's correct. The due diligence fee never has to hit a trust account. And we're just playing delivery to get it from the buyer to the seller. As soon as the seller gets it, tell them to deposit it. What else about the trust account? So the last little piece of the comments, remember, we're still on the comments. And the last little piece is, again, a nice review of our BPOs and CMAs from Unit 17. This is another one of these things that's covered under license law and commission rule. As a provisional broker, you cannot perform a BPO or CMA for a third party for a fee. Nobody can charge a fee as part of our job, listing agent, buyer's agents. But if you ever ask to offer your opinion on probable sales price by a third company, a third party, as a provisional broker, you can do it, but you can't charge a fee for it. Remember, we don't get to use the word value. That's a word that the appraiser gets to use. So we're not going to look when your seller says, what's my home worth? We're not going to tell them value. We're going to tell them probable sales price or probable leasing price. Probable sales price or probable leasing price. We're always going to report in a range, not just one specific number. Once you drop that provisional status, if you are performing a BPO or CMA for a fee, you need to be familiar with license law and commission rule. You need to know what license law and commission rule says. You guys are actually going to learn more about BPOs and CMAs in post-licensing. So we'll get into more specifics about the license law and the commission rule. And then any BPO or CMA we perform has to be in writing. That makes sense, right? Because what do we document? Everything. So you do a BPO or a CMA, have written documentation, have your report in the transaction file, the transaction record. Questions on BPO, CMA? So that wraps up the comments section. Remember, we talked last week, I think that's where most of your focus should be, is in the comments. I do think that's going to be the bulk of your state-specific exam. There is some other stuff, some license law and commission rule that we need to go over that's not covered in the comments. So we need to talk about a few other just general brokerage things. And the first general brokerage thing covers our proof of license. Once you guys pass your state exam, the Real Estate Commission will mail you a real estate license. It's a nice 8.5 by 11. You can see mine back here over my shoulder. Go get you a frame. You worked hard for this thing, so go get a frame. In addition to the license that they mail you, each year that we renew, we get a pocket license, a pocket card. And our pocket card needs to be kept on us at all times when we're acting like a real estate agent, when we're engaging in brokerage activities. The pocket card, there's two versions of it. You can print it out, put it in your wallet. It looks about the size of a credit card, so it fits very nicely in your wallet. Or new, within the last couple years, you can have a digital pocket card that you have on your phone. Doesn't matter what you have, either in your wallet or on your phone, or if you're kind of like me, you got both. But anytime you're engaging in the brokerage of real estate or the activity of real estate, you need your pocket card. So let me ask you some yes/no questions. Shake your heads, yes or no. If you're doing an open house, do you need to have your pocket card on you? Yeah, I would consider that a brokerage activity. What if you're doing CE, continuing education? Do you need your pocket card on you? Yeah, guys, there's a lot of schools that your pocket card and your driver's license is your ticket into CE. So anytime you're doing anything real estate related, and they make that easy by making it wallet size or available on your phone. We usually don't go far without our phones or our wallets. As we mentioned last week, firms also have a real estate license, so they too will get a nice 8.5 by 11. The firms need to display their license in the office. So the firm will display their actual license. The individual broker does not have to display their license. I'm just proud. But we do have to carry around our pocket card. Questions on this one? Another general brokerage thing, and this is one that we've talked about several times, so it's good to actually see it in writing. We cannot disclose the terms of an offer without permission of the offeror. Who is the offeror? And please don't say buyer. Who is the offeror?
The one giving the offer.
The giver of the offer. That's exactly right. The one making the offer. The offeror is the giver, the creator of the offer. So we cannot disclose the terms of an offer without express. Remember, express can be in writing, it can be oral. Express is the words have been clearly stated. This came up a lot in the last couple years in this crazy multiple offer world that we're living in. As a listing agent one day, it's very likely you're going to get a call from another agent that says, we're about to write up an offer for my buyer. What's the highest offer you have in your hand right now? There's no commission rule that says they can ask, that nothing wrong with them asking. The commission rule says how we respond. So when that agent calls you and says, what's the highest offer that you have in your hand right now? Can you share that with them? No, not unless you have the permission of the offeror with the highest offer. And let's just get this out there. Do you think any offeror in their right mind is going to give you permission to tell all the other offerors what they're? No, absolutely not. Again, you guys, don't get caught off guard. Agents will ask a lot. There's no rule that says that they can't ask. The rule says how we address that. So when you get that call, you say, I don't have permission to share that. I suggest that your buyer makes their best offer, and we'll consider all offers that we have in our hand at that time. Here's another scenario. Again, this happens. This is real life. You're a buyer's agent. You're working with two buyers, and lo and behold, they both become interested in the same property. Remember, we got to treat them both fairly. We're going to share the same numbers. We're going to be the fair, help the buyers determine what they want to offer. But what we can't do is pit those buyers together. I can't say, well, this is what buyer A is going to offer. This is what buyer B is going to offer. You guys with me? We got to have their permission no matter where you are, what your role is. We cannot disclose the terms of the offer without permission of the offeror. What questions do I have on this one? Also under license law and commission rule is how we renew our license. We have to renew our license every year by the end of June 30th. Let's consider this. The real estate commission does not operate on a calendar year. The real estate commission operates on a physical year, which means the real estate commission's year is July 1st to June 30th. And when we renew our license each year, we're renewing them for that period of July 1st to June 30th. And if you don't submit your renewal fee by 11:59 p.m. on June 30th, at the stroke of midnight on July 1st, your license is expired. We are given each year a renewal period from May 15th to June 30th. Every single year, we have a renewal period of May 15th to June 30th, which means every year we have 45 days to pay our renewal fee. Last year, and for the last, I can't remember how many years, it's been so long now, the renewal fee has been $45. So you got 45 days to pay $45. You can do this all online now. Log in. Once you get your license, you'll have a log on to the Real Estate Commission's homepage. So you can log on, check your record, pay your renewal fee, all that good stuff. Again, anything after you have to renew July 1st to June 30th. Question comes in. So when we get our license, we have to renew this year? Yep. Every May 15th to June 30th. If you happen to get your license between May 15th and June 30th, reach out to myself or Lane, because they always send instructions about you guys. So if you're still testing in May, just reach out to us and I'll be happy to share that letter from the commission. Do you know what's going on? When you renew your license is current. And when you guys see current, what I really want you to see is the word currency. Renewing your license, having a current license, means you've paid the fee. A current license has nothing to do with education. We'll bring education into this in just 1 second. A current license means you've paid the fee. So the top tier of your license status, it's either current or expired. The first thing they ask themselves is, did they pay the fee by July 1st? Now, your current license can be a couple different status. Again, we'll talk about that in just a second. We'll talk about what happens if your license goes expired. Right now, we're understanding the commission's physical years, July 1st to June 30th. We have a renewal period from May 15th to June 30th. That's our period to renew. If we're renewing, we're paying the fee. When you see the word current, see the word currency. It has nothing to do with education. It's all about showing them the money. Questions on this? Very important. Current versus expired. Once you've paid the fee, your current license can either be active. You've paid the fee, so you're current. A current license can be active. It's active because you paid the fee and you're caught up on education. The active license is the only license status in which you can perform brokerage activities. It is the only license status in which you can get paid commission. You can't get paid on an expired license. So how do you maintain an active license year after year after year after year? You only got to do two things. You pay the fee and you do your CE. Pay the fee and do CE. Kind of rhymes and everything, doesn't it? Fee and CE. We will talk about CE in just 1 second. So the only two things you need to do every year to ride for the rest of your life on an active license is pay the fee and do CE. A current license can also be inactive. It's current because you paid the fee. It's current because you showed them the money. However, it's inactive. Maybe you're a provisional broker without a BIC. You're current, but you're inactive. Maybe you didn't do CE in time. Again, we're talking about CE in just 1 second. Maybe you didn't do your post licensing in time as a provisional broker. Why don't you guys, let's see where we are. Private chat. As a provisional broker, tell me, remind me how long you have to drop your provisional status. How long do you have to do your post licensing? How long do you have once you get your license to do your post licensing? Am I hearing from everybody? As a provisional broker, how long do you have to do your post licensing? So as a provisional broker, you have 18 months to complete post licensing. 18 months. Failure to complete post licensing within 18 months means your license will go inactive until it's done, until you finish it. Even if you're in the throes of a transaction, this is what happens. Provisional brokers, as we talked about last week, some of you are going to want to affiliate and get started. You're rip roaring ready to go, and I think that's great. And you get busy working with buyers and sellers, and you get busy doing transaction, and time gets away from you. Is it easy for time to get away from you? You better believe it. So you're at 17 and a half months. You're running right along with buyers and sellers. You forget about post licensing. 18 months and 1 day, your license goes inactive. Guess where you are with that transaction you've been working? You've been cut, haven't you? Because you can only perform brokerage activities on an inactive license, 18 months. You can also be inactive by choice. Maybe you think you need a break from real estate for whatever reason. You're going to start a family. You need to care for elderly parents. You have a new job opportunity. You're going to travel to Europe, whatever. You decide you're done with real estate and you may want to go on an inactive license. You can ride for the rest of your life on an inactive license. All you have to do is send in that $45 every year. All you have to do is keep the license current. We're going to talk next about how you reinstate an inactive license, an expired license, if you decide you want to get back into it. And I'm going to even tell you in a minute why it might be worth it for you to pay that $45 every year. Let's make sure we're really good. You pay the fee, means your license is current. The second piece of a current license is where you're at on education. What questions do I have on this? Let's talk about how we reinstate an inactive license. And reinstating an inactive license has to do with our education. Remember, you've been paying the fee every year. So before they can reactivate you, if you have been keeping up with CE, you can take CE on an inactive license. So if you've been keeping up with CE, you wake up one day and decide you want to be active, you just got to submit the form. Poof, you're active again. All you're doing is paying the fee and keeping up with your CE. If you've been active for less than 2 years and you've not been doing CE, you're inactive, less than 2 years. Again, you've been sending that $45 in, that renewal fee. You're inactive less than 2 years and you've not been taking CE. you need to do some CE. You need to get caught up. So they're going to make you do this year's CE again, talking about CE in just a second. So they're going to make you do this year's CE. And they're going to make you do some extra electives. So they're going to make you do the update, and then they're going to make you 1 or 2 electives. The thinking here, you guys, if you've been a year or 2 without CE, real estate laws and rules are like constantly moving. So if you miss education for a year, you've missed a lot. If you've been inactive for more than 2 years, without CE, you wake up one day and decide, I want to get back into the real estate again. You got to get caught up on your CE, and you got to go back and take 2 out of the 3 post licensings. They don't care which 2. Pick your favorite 2. Go back and redo those. So 2 or more years. Again, you can take CE on an inactive license. If you think you're getting back into real estate, it might be worth doing CE. And please remember, the only reason you've been inactive for more than 2 years is because you've been paying the fee. An inactive license is a current license, which means you've shown them the money. So what if you don't pay the fee? You think you're done with real estate. You say, well, I'm going to save myself $45 a year, and I'm not going to send that into the commission. So I'm just going to let my license expire. How you reinstate an expired license, again, is dependent on how long you've been expired. So if you've been expired for less than 6 months, you pay the $45 renewal fee plus a $45, what's it called? Reinstatement fee. So you have a $45 renewal fee, a $45 reinstatement fee. You submit the activation form, and poof, you're good. So you wake up on July 1st and you go, oh my gosh, I didn't pay my dang real estate license. It's okay. Go pay the fees, go online, pay the fees, submit the activation form, and you're active again, just like that. If your license is expired 6 months to 2 years, again, you pay the reinstatement fee and the renewal fee, $45 times 2 right now. You go back and do a post licensing with 6 months, or you go back to PSI Testing Center and pass that state exam again. What y'all gonna do? Yeah, I see the expression on your face. Post licensing all day long, right? Well, I go back to PSI. Doesn't matter. Gotta do one or the other. Again, the thinking here is you've missed education. If you've been expired 6 months to 2 years, you've missed some education. So if you want to get back into it, y'all ready? What happens if you're expired more than 2 years? Is everybody ready? I want to brace you for this. If your license is expired for more than 2 years, you start all over. I ask you again, and this is a rhetorical question. Is it worth it to pay the $45 every year? I can't answer that for you. But if you think you're done with real estate, consider paying the $45 every year. I'd love to see you guys again, but I want to do it in post. Fair enough? Guys, this all the time. The last in-person class I taught, face-to-face class I taught, I had two people that were there because their license had expired more than 2 years. And they woke up, they decided wanted to get back into real estate. They called the commission. They say, what do I do? And the commission said, sign up for a pre-licensing class and start all over again here. The thinking is if you've missed 2 years of real estate education, you've missed a lot. I've heard instructors say that their family has strict instructions that if they're on life support between May 15th and June 30th, send that renewal fee in anyway, just in case, just in case. It's like that. What questions do we have on an inactive or an expired or a current license? Reinstating. Also covered under license law and commission rule is you guys, soon to be you guys. The fact that as a provisional broker, you can't do anything until you're affiliated with a broker in charge. The only way as a PB to activate your license is to be affiliated with a firm with a broker in charge. Please understand, I think this is a problem topic. Once you're affiliated, your license is active. Once you're affiliated as a provisional broker, you can do just about anything that a full broker can do because you're under the direct supervision of a broker in charge. So you can list properties for sale, you can work with buyers, you can do just about everything. There are a few exceptions. One exception we said that a provisional broker can't do is charge a fee to do a BPO for a third party. A provisional broker cannot walk around with somebody else's money. So when they hand you that earnest money check and say, hang on to this for me, get it to your BIC. And the provisional broker cannot be designated opposite of their broker in charge. The PB and the broker in charge cannot be designated opposite of each other. If the broker in charge is doing their job, they know something confidential about the provisional broker's client. The BIC has prepped you, if not there with you, for the listing appointment and the buyer consultation. So the BIC and the PB can never be designated opposite of each other. Shake your head, yes or no. Can they be in dual? Can the BIC and the PB be in dual? Yes, because it's not the individual agent that's in dual. Who's in dual? The firm. They can be in dual. They cannot be designated. There's a general brokerage provision about bounce checks or declined monies. Y'all make sure you got money in that account once you submit your application. Y'all should make sure the money's there when you're paying that renewal fee every year. Payment, that those funds are declined, dishonored, returned. There could be disciplinary action. And then there's provisions about our CE. CE is our continuing education. We only have to do 8 hours of CE each year. It's broken down into two 4-hour classes. We have a deadline each year to do CE on June 10th. June 10th, June 10th, June 10th. Remember, the commission's physical year is July 1st to June 30th. Our renewal period, the time that we have to send in our money, show them the money to have a current license next year, is May 15th to June 30th. And within the renewal period, we must do CE. Here's the deal, you guys. The Real Estate Commission doesn't allow any education provider or real estate school to offer CE for credit after June 10th. It's a blackout period. June 11th to June 30th is a blackout period, and nobody can offer CE for credit. Part of the reasoning is because this is when they're processing everybody's renewal fees and CE credit. At last count, it's like 109,000 licensees in the state of North Carolina. Yeah, you just heard me right. 109,000. There's like 45 people that work at the Real Estate Commission. So they're busy during this time. This is their busy season. I hope they bring in temp help. But they're busy processing our renewal fees, making sure we got CE credit. So they got to cut it off so they have time to get all that together and get ready for July 1st. If you wake up on June 11th and go, oh my God, I didn't do CE, I forgot to do CE, make sure you pay the fee. Do CE and pay the fee, because at least when you wake up on July 1st, your license will be inactive. Unfortunately, it will remain inactive until you can do CE. You may find a school that offers CE in July, but I'm going to be really honest with you. Most schools don't start picking up CE again until August or September. So you may, if you're going to do it the 1st of July, you may get to travel somewhere. You may have to wait till August or September if you can't find another school offering CE. But if you don't do CE, but you pay the fee, on July 1st, your license is expired. Shake your head, yes or no. Can you do brokerage activities on an inactive license? No. I used to, I can't tell you how many times this date gets away from us, y'all. Please know this date. This date should be up there with like your birthday, right? Very important date. Guys, I used to kind of be the lane of a real estate school. And I'm telling y'all, on June 11th, my phone was blowing up. I forgot to do CE. What do I do? Get it closed in the next 20 days if you can, because on July 1st, you know your license is going to go inactive, assuming that you paid the fee. I never recommend waiting until June to take CE. There's some daredevils out there that enjoy doing CE on June 10th. They just make me nervous. Because what if you wake up on June 10th and Spectrum is down and you don't have internet? What if you're going to go in person and you wake up and you have a flat tire? Can things happen on June 10th? Yeah. Get your CE done. Again, August, September, winter, a lot of agents will tell you we slow down a little bit in the winter months. That might be a good time to do your CE. I got one of mine on Friday and another one in 2 weeks. So I'll be done by the end of March. And this is late for me. I don't like doing mine in March. I'm a little nervous. I didn't get to it over the winter time, so I'm getting to it now. Dina, hang on to that question just for one answer. Just for one, yep, just for one question. So June 10th, June 10th, June 10th, June 10th. June 10th is the deadline to do CE. June 30th is the deadline to pay the fee. Hear me when I say June is a big month in real estate. June 10th to do CE, June 30th to pay the fee. The 2 CE classes we have to take every year, there's a 4-hour update course. The update course is the same for all licensees across the state. So we have a general update for provisional brokers and full brokers. We have a broker in charge update for BIC eligible and designated BIC. Everybody's got to take the same update course. Remember I just said there's like 109,000 licensees in the state of North Carolina. That's a lot. And this is the commission's opportunity to get all of us that information. In addition to the update, we also have to take a 4-hour elective. And I know this sounds funny, but an elective is a lot more fun than the update. But an elective is an approved topic of your choosing. So if there's anything in real estate you want to learn more about, if you have a niche, if you have, certain information that you're just dying to know, I'm going to venture out there and say, name a topic, and there's a really good chance that there's an elective course for it. I know there's property management, there's commercial, there's agency, there's contract maze, there's going green, environmentally friendly. There's a cajillion elective topics out there. And you have the opportunity to not only knock out your CE credit, but also to help get you some training, get you some education with whatever avenue you're interested in. So have fun with the elective. Make it a topic that can help you grow your business. 2 birds, 1 stone, right? So the question comes in, every licensee has to do CE every year, as long as you want an active license. If you want an active license, then yes, you have to do CE every year. How do you have an active license? Fee and CE. Here's some good news for you guys. You guys want some good news? The first June 10th you hit, once you get your license, you don't have to do CE. You do have to pay the fee, but you don't have to do CE. So let's pretend, again, looking at our timeline here. You'll see it's March. So let's say you guys get your license. When do you want to get your license? April 1st? Do you want to get your license on April 1st? So let's get your license on April 1st. When you guys get your license, I actually want you to draw out a timeline. I want you to see this. So the first year you get your license, you do not have to do CE by that June 10th. You get your first renewal period off. Please hear me. You must pay the fee. Always pay the fee. When in doubt, pay the dang fee. And if they find that you've already paid it, they'll reimburse you for it. When in doubt, but you have to pay the fee your first year, but you don't have to do CE until your next renewal period. So whatever day you guys get your license, draw your timeline, July 1st to June 30th. Put down the date that you got your license, and then ask yourself, when is my first June 10th? When it comes to this June 10th deadline, just so you know, the Real Estate Commission may grant a hardship, an extension for a hardship, if you can prove a hardship why you didn't get CE done on June 10th. But I need everybody to understand, a hardship is not, I got busy and I forgot. A hardship is active military deployment, major medical issues. Interestingly enough, the pandemic was considered a hardship. They granted an extension in 2020 for CE. However, we all still pay the fee. Always pay the fee. So your CE calendar every year, make sure your CE is done well before June 10th. Y'all please don't wait till that second week of June. Things happen. But your deadline to do CE is June 10th. The deadline to renew your license every year is June 30th. CE is the 10th. 30th is renewal fee. What questions do I have about your dates for your license? Active license. If you get licensed on June 9th, the fee will probably roll in. Again, if you guys are going to get your license in May or June, just reach out to me. The commission shares a letter with like instructions on what you need to do. So if you get your license between May 15th and June 30th, you're not going to be tested on that. So I don't want to get bogged down on it. Just make yourself a note. If you're getting licensed in May or June, please just reach out to me. Fair enough?
So if you
Yeah.
end up doing your CE in the winter months, do you pay your fee then or do you wait until June?
No, May 15th to June 30th is when we pay the fee.
All right, just in that. Okay,
Yeah, that 45 days to pay $45.
okay, gotcha.
Yep, yep. Thank you. Anything else? Okay, let's take a break. We come back, we're going to wrap up license law and commission rule. We're back. Welcome back. All right, cameras are on, so I'm going to take attendance. Questions on CE or renewal dates? June's a big month. Thank you for letting me know you're back. And we have taken attendance. So I see a couple cameras coming on. Make sure you know I know you're back. Okay, also covered under license law and commission rule is your post licensing. Again, we're good on this. 90 hours. Broken up into 3 30-hour courses. You got 18 months to do all 3. They don't care what order you do them in. Just do them. Yes, there is a test. Yes, you have to pass the test. No, it's not as hard as pre, but you still have a test to pass. So there's still a level of commitment. Questions on post licensing?
I'm curious,
Yeah.
this post-licensing, the test you need to pass, it's not another, oh, hold on. Can you hear me? My camera's going weird. It's not the same national state one again, is it? Is it
No,
just
no, you don't have to
passing?
go. Yeah, you
passing
don't
the
have to go
course.
to, yeah, you
Okay.
don't have to go to PSI testing center. It's just passing the end
Okay.
class. Yep.
Okay, good.
Like I said, pre is the hard part, you guys. Pre is the intense thing. Post, as long as you're committed, you're paying attention, following along, you get through it just fine. Again, most of the stuff in post you already know. Agency, contracts, license law and commission rule. We're just going to expand on it a little bit more. We're going to get more in depth in post licensing. I'm actually starting a post licensing class tonight, and it's the agency one. So we're pretty much spending the next 30 hours just on agency. So everything you know, and then we're just expanding on it. Unit 7 and 8. Anything else on your post licensing? Again, if you can prove a hardship, you may get an extension for post licensing. I would not wait until, 17 and a half months. If you know you have your hardship, but guys, please hear me. A hardship is not because you got super busy in real estate transactions and you forgot to do it. They're not going to grant an extension for that. So if you're asking for a hardship, it's like active military deployment. Is it 3? No, it's 3 30-hour classes for a total of 90 hours. So you take 1 30-hour class that's on agency, you take a different 30-hour class that's on contracts, and then you take a different 30-hour class. So it's 3 30-hour classes for a total of 90 hours. Guys, they'll remind you to renew your license. May 15th to June 30th, they're like those little gnats that get in your face and don't leave you alone. They'll send you emails and your broker in charge will be on you. We did just get a letter or an email a couple weeks ago that said they're no longer to send out paper notices to renew your license. So it's all going to come electronically now. You'll know when it's the renewal period. You'll know when June 10th is approaching. It's up to you to keep up with your 18 months. Every single one of you in this call is going to have a different start. So it's up to you to keep up with that 18 months. They're not going to call you and say, you've been licensed for 13 months now. Don't forget to do your post. That's not what they're going to do. Does everybody hear me? You can go to a website that's like calculator.net. I think we talked about it last week, calculator.net. You can put in the date and 18 months and it'll tell you exactly how you have. So just keep up with that 18 months. The last little piece that we have to cover is on timeshares. And timeshares is another one of those things that's covered under license law and commission rule. If any of you are going into the timeshare field, the timeshare avenue, then obviously you're going to want to be proficient in both license law and commission rule. We're going to go through a few of these things briefly. Please hear me. We're getting ready to see a lot of green stars. I truly believe in my heart of hearts that if you get a test question on a timeshare, it's only going to be one. And if you get that one question on timeshares, it's going to be something about what we've already talked about in Unit 5. You guys remember this? You want to do it with me for the last time? Let's do it together. Remember this? What do we know about timeshares? 5, 5, 5, 10. And don't forget the jazz hands, just because that's fun. You're not going to be tested on jazz hands, but if only we were, right? What do we need to know about timeshares? It's the right to occupy a unit during at least 5 separate more time periods over at least 5 years. I need you to work the note the words at least. What I'm telling you is 5 is the minimum. So if your test says it's 10 separate time periods over 10 separate years, do we have a timeshare? 10 and 10? Yeah, because we have at least 5. If it says 3 separate time periods over 3 years, do we have a timeshare? No, because 5 is the minimum. That's what I mean by at least. Remember what we said too about timeshares, if it meets this basic definition, it doesn't matter what you call it. If you have East Coast Vacation Resort and it meets this definition, it's a timeshare. If it walks like a duck and quacks like a duck, it's probably a timeshare. So at least 5 or more separate time periods over at least 5 years. There's that 5-day recession period. That means the buyer has 5 days to take back their contract. If they put down any deposits, they'll get their money back. And then the timeshare developer has to keep the money in their escrow account for at least 10 days. If the buyer terminates, they have that money in the escrow account to reimburse them. The developer does have the right to make sure that the buyer's check has cleared the bank before they reimburse them. So if we go under contract with a timeshare today and then the buyer terminates at 4 o'clock today, the developer does have the right to make sure that that check is cleared. If the buyer doesn't terminate in 5 days, then on day 10, the timeshare developer moves it from their escrow account to their operating account and do with it what they will. And then the other thing we said about timeshares is that this is the only time the Real Estate Commission can fine anybody. Remember, they're a licensing regulatory body. But this is the exception. And the Real Estate Commission can fine the developer up to $500 per violation. Again, if you see a test question on timeshares, I would, if I were a betting woman, I would put it down that it'd be on this slide. There are a few other definitions, a few other things that the commission has on the syllabus that we need to go through really quick. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because we don't need to. So please don't, you may not want to try to write down every single word. Know that we're recording. Know that you have my PowerPoints. You can look through this real quick before you go to the state exam. Is everybody good? This is the slide that we care about. They can only find the timeshare developer. They cannot find another licensee. Only the timeshare developer. Olivia, if you need to do that today, that's fine. Just for today. Thank you. So lots of green stars. If I had something less than a green star, I would, but green star is the simplest. So real quick, do you need a valid license for a timeshare? Absolutely. Absolutely. So some basic definitions. The timeshare board, there's a board of directors, the Timeshare Owners Association. Whether or not timeshares are resellable is going to be in the contract. So the buyer needs to think about when they're buying a timeshare, they need to think about, what if I want to sell it? How can I get out? It's all going to be spelled out in the contract. And another good reason why the buyer has 5 days to rescind their contract. Don't they deserve the right to sit down and read the contract? Take it to their attorney if they have any questions. So whether or not they can resell their timeshare and how they can resell their timeshare needs to be spelled out. The developer is the person or entity that creates the timeshare. They have developed the timeshare. So they're the timeshare developer. Timeshares may have an exchange program in which you can take your week and use it somewhere else. So we know with a timeshare you own, you have access to a unit for 1 week out of the year. So you share that unit with like 51 other people, right? And some timeshares allow you to take your week and go somewhere else. I had a buddy 10 years ago, something like that. His parents have a timeshare in Myrtle Beach. Probably about 10 years ago, he exchanged their week at Myrtle Beach for a week in Scotland. Isn't that nice? So he was able to exchange that week. It was still the same week, but he's able to use it somewhere else. Each timeshare has to be registered with the North Carolina Real Estate Commission. The commission has got to know about the timeshare so they can regulate it. If a timeshare developer does not register the timeshare, they could be looking at a class 1 felony, which could be up to a year in prison. So failure to report, to register the timeshare, could wind you up in jail. Somebody asked about timeshare licensee or salespersons. It depends. The timeshare salesperson either can have an active real estate license or they're a W-2 employee of the developer. They can manage and sell the timeshare on behalf of the developer if they're employed by the developer. So are they licensed or not? It depends. If you call yourself a salesperson, you got to have an active license. If you call yourself an employee, you're managing it on behalf of the timeshare. Hello. Developer has obligations. A timeshare is an interest in real estate. You own property for a week, for example. So there's an interest in real estate. So all these laws and rules that we've been talking about with real estate still apply to a timeshare. Because it's an interest in real estate, that interest needs to be recorded. So once the timeshare closes, the developer has 180 days to record the timeshare interest. The developer also has to provide each purchaser a public offering statement. Don't get so bogged down on this slide. What we need to know is the developer has to provide each purchaser a public offering statement. And these are the things that need to be included. Purchaser needs this before they decide to purchase or at contract formation. Again, they need to have all the information so they can decide in those 5 days if they want to terminate or proceed. They have that 5-day period to cancel. There's that 5-day period, either 5 days after the execution of the contract or their receipt of the public offering statement. So if they didn't get the public offering statement when they went under contract, now they got to get it, review it. Their 5-day clock starts, whichever one happens last. Five days after contract formation, the buyer can rescind their contract, or if they haven't received a public offering statement. Because timeshares are regulated by the commission can have disciplinary action. They can discipline the developer, any of the licensees, any of the salesperson. The commission cannot regulate an unlicensed person. So if the developer has W-2 employees working for them, that W-2 employee messes up, the developer's going down. We said this is the only time the commission will get involved with matters of money, in which case they can fine the developer up to $500. And if the commission determines that the developer needs to be investigated for disciplinary action, they can call a hearing. That can be a hearing on their own, or it could be a court order, court hearing. Failure to properly handle the timeshare. If we do have to go to court, the developer could be facing a class 1 misdemeanor, which is now fines and jail time. So they can be fined and they could go to jail. Timeshares are highly regulated. Some of you may have had an experience with a timeshare. The truth is, I'm trying to say this as delicately as I can. The truth is timeshare developers unfortunately have a reputation for being the shady salesman. They weren't always regulated, and timeshare developers could get away with a lot more. And so now the commission has stepped in. Highly regulated timeshare developers, what's their main purpose? It's all about protecting the public. Each timeshare development has a registrar and a project broker. So one person acts as the registrar. The person that acts as the registrar is the one that is recording documents, releasing liens when that timeshare gets sold. So the registrar handles registering everything. Timeshare developers also need a project broker. Think of the project broker as the broker in charge of the timeshare. They're the ones that are handling the day-to-day affairs, making sure everybody's doing their job, doing what they're supposed to do, staying in compliance with license law and commission rule. So the project broker is like the broker in charge of that timeshare development. Timeshare developers, same license law and commission rules we have. How long do you think timeshare developers have to retain records? How many years do you think they have to keep records? You can show me. How many years? Yeah, just like us. They got to keep all records for at least 3 years. They got to be in compliance with agency disclosure. It is for sale. So they need to do working with real estate agent disclosure. They need to be in compliance with agency agreements, everything that we've read multiple times in Commission Rule A.0104 applies to timeshares. The developer has a trust account. They got to keep all deposits in their trust account for 10 days. Again, if the buyer terminates within 5, they get reimbursed once they verify it's cleared the bank. The timeshare developer does have the right to make sure that that money's cleared the bank. If the buyer doesn't terminate on day 10, the developer just transfers it from their trust account to their operating account. Back to the project broker, again, just like the broker in charge. Again, big picture, they're managing the day-to-day operations, making sure everybody's in compliance with license law and commission rule. If there's W-2 employees, making sure that they're doing acts allowable for W-2 employees. Always need to notify the commission of any changes in the development status, name, address, whatever, email address. The project broker may be maintaining the trust account on behalf of the developer. And then they're the ones that are keeping all records. Let's recap. What do we need to know about timeshares? Let's do it one more time. You guys ready? 5, 5, 5, 10. Questions on timeshares? Guess what, you guys? Gets us through license law and commission rule. And officially, all the information. That's it. We've been through the syllabus. Y'all know what I know. There you go. I know I told you Appendix A in your book is out of date. That's why I've always encouraged you guys to look at the comments on the online learning system. However, there is a nice key point review on page 729. I can't guarantee everything on the key point review is not out of date. So if you have any conflicting information, refer back to your class notes. What we went over in class is the most current, and you will always be tested on the most current. Same thing with the student quiz. I can't guarantee that anything's not changed since this book was last printed, but not enough to really get excited about. So here's an extra key point review, which is a good one. It's a good summary of license law and commission rule. And then your student quiz. And yeah, there's some quizzes in the online learning system as well. What questions do we have? Y'all want a Kahoot? This is like our last Kahoot. Let's try to hold back the emotions. I know. All right, so this is our license law and commission rule Kahoot. Let me get you guys a QR code. QR code. You're gonna scan in that, put your name in. Go onto the app or the website, there's your game pin. This is our license law and commission rule Kahoot. Last day. That's funny. Last day's little avatar is a brain. You guys don't get to pick your own avatars, do you? No, you do? That's what's taking so long. Just pick something, it'll be fine. Everybody in that wants to play? License, law, and commission rule. Everybody ready? All right. See what we got. License, law, and commission rule. Question number 1. Real estate commission may take disciplinary action against a licensee who Eight seconds. Real estate commission can take disciplinary action against a licensee who has violated license law and has been disciplined by another licensing board. Please note this word says may. Does that mean they're going to discipline your license if you get yourself in trouble with your other licensing board? I don't know. Maybe they will, maybe they won't. We need to report it. Why don't you guys remind me in a chat? I'd like to hear from everybody, please. If you get yourself in trouble with the court or your other licensing board, how many days do you have to report that conviction to the real estate commission? How many days do you have to report that commission or that disciplinary action to the real estate commission? And I'd like to hear from everybody, please. And if you don't know, tell me you don't know. Because I'm hearing from everybody. How many days you get yourself in trouble, either with the court or your other professional licensing board? How many days? Thank you for your honesty. How many days do you have to report that? I'm serious. We are all over the place. Everybody listen up. Everybody listen up. You get yourself in trouble, you get convicted of a felony or a misdemeanor, or you get yourself in trouble with another licensing board, you have 60 days, 60, to report that to the commission once you've been charged. And please hear me when I say convicted of a felony or a misdemeanor. That means the gavel has come down and the judge has said guilty. Y'all stop second guessing yourself today. That ends today. Fair enough? Okay. Questions on this one? You've got to report it. Are you going to get in trouble? I don't know. I don't know. But what I do know is if you don't report it, you have violated commission rule, and that will be disciplinary action. And we talked about mama. It's better for you to fess up than for the commission to find out on their own. Anybody else have a similar mama? That's how I was raised. Woo, don't let mama find out Sunday in church or by going to work what I did wrong. Goodness. Mama did not like that. Don't let the commission find out on their own. That's the point of that rule, 60 days. All right, let's see what we got here. Turtle came out the top, followed by Mads and Joe, SMC, and Nana. Question number 2. A real estate license must be renewed no later June 30th is the renewal date. We have from May 15th to June 30th. We have 45 days to send in $45. That's how we renew our license. It's by paying that fee. Questions on this one? So we got Turtle, Mads, and Joe are staying on top. Rhonda's on the board. Anna's still on. Her is our highest climber, up 3 places. Her should see a little summit icon on your phone. What is the deadline for CE? Six seconds. June 10th, June 10th, June 10th, June 10th. Very important date. Very important date. CE is the deadline. Please don't wait till, y'all don't wait till June. Promise me you're not going to wait till June. So many things can go wrong. You got, what if you want to go in person? You know, there's a limit to how many people we're allowed to have in a classroom. So when it's sold out, it's sold out. I could spend the next hour talking about horror stories I've heard over my years of people not doing CE. So what I need you guys to know from this, do your CE before June. Everybody promise me that? Y'all on pinky swear me? Julie, I promise I'm going to do CE before June. 18 months from licensure, that's how long you have to complete post-licensing. June 10th is the CE deadline. 18 months is your post-licensing. Questions on this one? Let's see what we got. Naz, Joe, and Turtle are shuffling around a little bit. Rhonda's still on the board, hers on. And now him. Do you guys know each other? Him is our highest climber, up 4 places. Question number 4. In North Carolina, all real estate brokers must. Eight seconds. I need somebody to tell me what's wrong with the blue one. Anybody?
To keep the license current, you don't need CE.
It's that word, current. A current license has everything to do with paying the fee. It has nothing to do with education. See what they like to do to you guys? Do you see? This is them. Let's make sure we're good. Your license is either current or expired. Paying the fee makes your license current. Your current license can be active or inactive. The difference in active or inactive is your education. So current, see the word currency. Think money. Everybody's got to have the firm's name in your advertising. Failure to have your firm's name in the advertising is a blind ad. Always, always remember, whose listing is it? It's the firm's. You can't put an ad out for sale. I need questions on this one. What do we got? Do we see that word current? Do you see what they like to do to you? When you see current, it has everything to do with money. It has nothing to do with education. Tricky, tricky. I agree. Questions? Let's see what we got. So Crystal came up to the top. Maz, Joe, and Turtle, Rhonda are still on. They're calling that a combo breaker. 5 of you lost your answer streak. That's okay. We can get it back this round. Question number 5. Under license law, provisional broker is authorized to seconds. Under license law, a provisional broker can, there we go, list a property for sale as long as they are under the direct supervision of a broker in charge. Again, provisional broker can do just about anything that a full broker can do. Those few exceptions we rattled off. The key is you got to be affiliated by a BIC. No licensee can collect a commission directly from the principal. The firm collects the commission. The firm shares their commission with you. Questions on this one? So we got Naz back on top, Crystal's on fire, Joe, Turtle, and Rhonda are still on. Question comes in, BIC can collect commission. Don't get bogged down on license categories. The firm collects the commission. The firm shares their commission with all of their licensees, employees. Think about the agency relationship as an employment contract. The employment contract agrees to compensate the firm X amount upon the successful conclusion of the transaction. Does that make sense? Think about who our agency agreement is between. Other questions? I think our last one, yep, one more. How long from receipt does a provisional broker have to deliver trust funds to their BIC? Two seconds. Run, don't walk. Provisional brokers cannot walk around with somebody else's money. So if you have trust funds, if you have somebody else's money in your hand, get it to your BIC. The 3 days of receipt and the 3 day of contract formation is how long the escrow agent has to deposit it. So the escrow agent has 3 days to deposit it, either within 3 days of receipt or contract formation. And we are never going to hold anybody's money in our own banking account for safeguarding. So we need to deliver it immediately. What questions do I have on this one? You have 3 days of receipt to deposit it or 3 days of contract formation, whichever one happens first. So the escrow agent has 3 days from receipt to deposit it. Yep. Anything else? Let's see what we got. Here's our podium. Third place is Rhonda. Good job. Our second place is Crystal. Our first place is Matt. Got fourth and fifth runners up of SMC and last day. What questions do we have? Let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to do safety and then exam rules and expectations. So please be back on time because we got a very important topics coming up. So let's take 10. We're back. Cameras are coming back on. Welcome back. So yep, I'm just now getting ready to take attendance. So if you're just coming back, you're good. So let me take attendance. And we have another really important topic to talk about, but this isn't a testing topic. You're not going to have any test questions on this, but let's not negate the importance of this. Just because you're not tested on it doesn't mean it's important. I don't want to scare anybody, but the truth is you're going into an industry where you're opening yourselves up to the public. And when you open yourselves up to the public, we need to be safe. Safety first. So we need to make you aware, get you thinking about some things. I got a little video from the National Association of Realtors that I'm going to show you. So we're going to look at the safety video, and then of course we're going to have a discussion. So here's your video. And when I start, will you guys give me the thumbs up that you can hear it?
As a real estate professional, you are in a unique position that most working professionals never face. In your business, you often share your contact information openly with others, meet unknown clients, and walk through vacant properties, to name a few. It's because of the unique nature of this business that it's critical for all real estate professionals to have personal safety protocols in place that you follow every day, with every client, every time. So what kind of safety protocols should you implement into your daily routine? Here are a few to consider. When meeting a client for the first time, do not meet a new client at a property right away without first having an initial meeting at your office or a public space, like a coffee shop. During the initial meeting, make copies or take photos of the client's driver's license and pre-approval letter for your records. This precaution allows you to keep a record at the office of who your clients are, their information, and a calendar of appointments. When first meeting with a new client, you should discuss the types of real estate they're interested in and walk them through the safety protocols you have in place for all clients. Now you can arrange showings, meet them at properties, and schedule open houses to help them through the biggest financial decision of their life. When viewing a property, it's okay to ask your client to drive separately. This is a safety precaution for you as much as it is for them. Not to mention you might both have appointments to go to before or afterward.
Hey, this is cute.
As you tour a property, walk behind your client. This routine safety measure allows them to see the room first and make their own impressions. Many agents do not go into attics, garages, or basements as an additional safety measure. But encourage your client to look around and let you know what they think. It is a safe practice to only show vacant properties which might not have electricity during daylight hours. This allows you to see what safety hazards may exist, like a loose floorboard or any defects the house may have.
It's got potential.
When holding an open house, advise your clients to board their pets and remove jewelry, family photos, credit card receipts, artwork, prescription drugs, and any other valued possessions from the home in advance of the open house. This is just one way to look out for your client and to keep their property and belongings secure. Keep a record of who entered the house by asking everyone who walks in the door to sign in with their name and phone number or show a photo ID. There is something to be said about safety in numbers. Consider bringing along a colleague when holding an open house. If there are several potential buyers walking through the home, even better to have 2 agents on hand to answer questions and keep an eye on things. Safety is an important part of real estate. Be prepared and follow the protocols and processes that have been put in place to keep you and your clients safe. For more information and additional resources, visit www.nar.realtor/safety.
Okay, so before we, I do want to open this up for questions in just a second, but before I do that, I'm going to stop sharing because we have nothing to look at. So let's look at each other for a bit. Before we open it up for questions, comments, I do want to talk about a few things in the video. Probably the number one question I get, let's go ahead and address that, is when you're out acting as a real estate agent, can you conceal carry? And the answer is sure. If you have your conceal carry, absolutely. Your firm may have a policy that says you can't conceal carry at the office. But when you're out and about showing property, dealing with clients, customers, working with the public, if you have your concealed carry, absolutely. If you don't have your concealed carry and you're not familiar with or comfortable with a gun, please don't get one. You're just going to end up hurting yourself or somebody else, some innocent person. So if you're not familiar with a gun, I do think all of you should have some kind of protection. Maybe you get a mace or some kind of, I got a combination of a taser / flashlight, right? Flip of a switch, the flashlight comes on, flip it again, and it acts as a taser. So if you don't want to conceal carry, that's fine. Please don't feel any pressure to, but you do need some kind of weapon. So that's why I recommend, like I said, mace. What are those big sticks that are keychains and big sticks, and you can use them to beat somebody? I mean, guys, let's be honest. When put in a dangerous situation, anything can work as a weapon. So that's the number one question I get. Can I conceal carry? So let me open it up to you guys. What questions do we have on your safety as a real estate agent? Anything from the video you saw? I know some things that I saw from the video, keeping your phone close, maybe having your emergency numbers programmed so you can get those to those easy. And guys, when I say keep your phone close, I'm not saying you're on your phone with your buyers and sellers, but you need to have it near you. And I tell you guys, a lot of the ways that we access homes is through an app on our phone. So having your phone out doesn't look weird when you're with buyers, right? It just looks like you're doing your job, getting them in the front door. So don't just stand there and chit chat, but having your phone close, being aware of your surroundings. I mean, that's huge. Guys, please remember, when we go show property, we take the buyers are looking for, can I see myself and my family live here? Can I see ourselves turning this into a home? So they're looking at things like, can we do Friday night family game night here? And can we do, Sunday football here, right? Those are the things that your buyers are looking for. You and I need to be looking for everything else. And that includes our surroundings. So when you get out of the car, before you get out of the car, when you're going down the street, check your surroundings, see if anything looks suspicious. I like the suggestion on the video of taking a buddy, taking a friend. Maybe you have a licensee that's starting the same time as you, so you guys can kind of pal up and work together. There is a thing as safety in numbers. Absolutely. If a licensee can't go with you, you can take an unlicensed person. You can have an unlicensed person help you do an open house or show property. Just make sure they know what their role is. If you have an unlicensed person doing an open house with you on Sunday, can that unlicensed person give information about the property? Can they sell the house? Can they represent the seller? No, their role is to keep you company. So if you do have an unlicensed person, just make sure they understand that. I've shown property numerous of times in the evenings and weekends where my husband comes with me. He doesn't get out of the car, but they see him. You know what I'm saying? They see that he's there. What about the part about not meeting perfect strangers at a vacant home for the first time? I think that's a great safety protocol. It's easy. You're going to be sitting there on phone duty and somebody's going to call you and they're going to say, I'm sitting in front of 123 Main Street and I would like to see it right now. And our instinct is to jump up and run out the door and meet those people that are sitting there. I'm telling you, that may not be the best safety protocol. If that buyer is interested enough in 123 Main Street, they will do what you tell them to do. So if you say, I need you to come by the office before I show it to you, if they're interested, they'll do it. If you say we need to meet at Starbucks and have a coffee, before I can show it to you. If they're interested, they'll do it. If they say nope, then you got to wonder how interested in that property they are. Remember what we learned in fair housing. We treat everybody the same, right? What you do for one, you do for all. So this is why this video discusses the importance of setting up safety measures, safety protocols, so you know how to treat buyers that you're just meeting for the first time, how you meet sellers, or how you treat sellers that you're meeting for the first time. If I'm having a buyer meet me at Starbucks, what's the one thing I can use as an excuse to get them to Starbucks? Do I have something I need to disclose to that buyer early on? So can't we use our working with real estate agent disclosure as a good excuse? Before I show you this property, we got to talk about agency in North Carolina. You guys with me? Use it as an excuse. So you buy them a coffee, sit down, go over working with real estate agent. If they're willing to do that, it's a step closer. The truth is, guys, we're with buyers and sellers. We are in and out of their lives so fast. I don't know how well we really get to know our buyers and sellers. Does that make sense? I mean, we are such a small blip in their life. Video talked about not letting yourself get blocked in. That could refer to in the driveway. So if at all possible, park on the street in front of the house. Not all homes will allow you to park in the street. So if you have to pull in the driveway, try not to get blocked in. The other piece of not getting blocked in is when you're showing property. So when you're in the home with these buyers, let them lead. So if it's like a 2-story home and you walk into a bedroom, your only way out is the window, right? The 2nd-story window. So let them lead. Say stuff like after you, upstairs, downstairs, walking into rooms with no other ways out. I think beyond safety, that's also good. We want them to lead so they can get the experience of going through the home and seeing it for the first time without you standing in the middle of the room going, and this is the bedroom. You guys with me? So let them lead to get that full experience, and it's for your safety. Don't let yourself get blocked in. I think the other part of the video was about open houses. It's kind of funny to say this, but when you're doing an open house, you're advertising the whole entire world. I'll be at this big empty house all by myself Sunday from 2 to 4. Come see me. So you need to make sure when you're doing open houses, you take some safety precautions. For example, when I do an open house, I always keep myself positioned at the front door. I don't follow buyers or visitors around. I keep myself positioned at the front door. I see you coming long before, long before you ever get there. I do have, by the way, I do have my concealed carry. That's not my preference. At open houses, I also have a mace in my pocket. My whole objective is to get away. With open houses, we need to have a conversation with our sellers as well, making sure they're putting up their personal belongings, anything of value, anything that can easily slip into a pocket. Real Estate Commission does an educators conference every year. And one thing I like about the educators conference is they tell us the biggest offenses, the biggest violations from the year before. And the most recent conference we had, they said one of the biggest complaints they got were buyers and agents rummaging around kitchen cabinets looking for prescription medications. And in most cases, these people were caught on camera. Where's the most common place people keep medications, prescription drugs? The medicine cabinet and the kitchen cabinets, kitchen counters. So tell your sellers, don't put your prescription drugs there. Buyers should be encouraged to look in kitchen cabinets. Aren't the cabinets going to convey? So if you open the doors and there's a whole slew of prescription medications, But just tell your sellers, look, I may not be able to be with all visitors at all time during an open house. For my safety, I'm keeping myself at the front door. If there's lots of groups in at once, I can't be with everybody at the same time. Don't give people temptation. Don't give them a reason. So have your sellers be safe as well. There was a couple years ago. They were going, we have like private Facebook groups. You guys will get all on these once you get licensed. But there was a couple years ago that agents were starting to comment. These couples were going to open houses, and she had a really large purse. And they were going into open houses, and they were going to the deep freezer in the garage and taking their ice cream. I don't know why. It was right after the pandemic, so maybe they were just bored. But yeah, they were taking ice cream. Now, is that something of value? Well, no. Well, I don't know. It depends on the moment, doesn't it? Sometimes ice cream is more valuable than others, but that's people, you guys. What do you guys think about safety? Is this something you guys have thought about? Getting into real estate? Something you consider? Yeah. I will say, National Association of Realtors has dedicated September as safety awareness. So they usually, like, that's when they release that video. Just a good reminder for us to always be safe. That's right. Somebody just said they've heard of stories of agents being kidnapped or killed. Absolutely. The reason, it doesn't happen often, but the truth is it does happen. The reason September is National Safety Awareness Month, there was an agent in Arizona. I don't remember how many years ago, but she was raped and murdered by what she thought was a buyer client. Right opportunity at the right time. I don't want to see anybody in any kind of situation that makes you feel uncomfortable. I think the best advice I can give you guys on safety, what I really want you to take away, listen to that little voice in your head. If that little voice in your head says run away, you do just that. Don't question that little voice. That's your fight or flight. What else on safety? Okay. I guess the last little piece I have then is our rules and expectations for Thursday. So we are, and talk about that. I love this guy. Do you guys feel this guy's pain? Let's do this as we go through these rules and expectations. Please let me get through this, and then I will open it up to question, because it's fair to say if you give me just a minute, I'll probably answer your question. Maybe you have taken an exam online before, maybe you haven't. I have done this numerous times, about 3 years now, right at 3 years, I guess. So we're, we've got this down. So your exam, this is what's going to happen on Thursday. You guys will log on using the same Zoom link, my Zoom link that you have every class. So you'll log on Thursday morning like you always do. We got to go through a little check-in process. Once I get everybody checked in, then I will give you the class marker link for your exam. But I need everybody to understand, I can't give the link until I have everybody checked in. So Thursday morning, I'm going to log on a little early. And I appreciate you guys coming on early as well. I'm gonna log on at 8:15 so I can get you guys checked in. There's 25 or 26 of you. So I need to spend just a little bit of one-on-one time with each of you. That is a process. It does take time. I'm going to go ahead and thank you right now for your patience getting through this process. I'll probably thank you 20 more times Thursday morning. Your patience is very, very critical. So we're going to log on early to check in. I cannot start the exam until I have all of you checked in. I'd like to get you started as close to 9 as I can. So what am I looking for in the check-in process? We're doing some one-on-one time together. And when we check in, I got to see your basic calculator. Can you use your phone, the calculator on your phone for the exam? No. Can you use the calculator from like a TI-84 that stores formulas for your exam? No. Guys, I almost always have somebody show up with the wrong calculator on test day and say they didn't know that they needed to get a basic calculator. So why don't you guys break the mold? Does everybody understand? It's a basic calculator. You can't use the one on your computer. Basic 10-key calculator. If you have any questions about whether or not your calculator is allowed, you reach out to me after class. Pen, pencil, purple crayon, I really don't care, some kind of writing utensil. You're all going to start with 2 blank pieces of scratch paper, and you're going to show me your scratch paper front and back. You're going to show me both papers are blank. Your scratch paper needs to stay blank until the exam begins. Scratch paper stays blank until the exam begins. If you need more than 2 pieces, if you need another piece of blank paper, then you reach out to me during the exam. I will talk about that in a second. But everybody can only start with 2. Start with 2. If you need more, of course, I'll let you get more. Why 2? How many pieces of paper do you think PSI Testing Center gives you to start? PSI also gives you 2. I didn't just pull this number off the top of my head. Again, you guys like to show up with 10 pieces of paper. No. How many do we start with? 2. If you need more, I will let you get it. Also, part of our check-in, I need to see your space. So if at all possible, if you're on a laptop, I need you to like show me, you know, this is my blank space. This is my office space. Julie, I don't have anything on my desktop. You see that good clear desktop? Everybody see that? You can pick your laptop off and give me an angle of your space. If you're on a desktop, I understand you can't do that. So if you're on a desktop, it's kind of like the honor system. You're going to put your hand up and you're going to say, Julie, I promise I have nothing on my space. It'll constitute as cheating. I'll let you have drinks, snacks, gum, whatever, anything you need to get you through. Also, part of the check-in, I need to see that your books and your notebooks are here beside you. I need to know where your books are. Again, I have people show up on test day and say, oh, it's in another room. No, I need to know that your book is closed and it's beside you. Some of you, I got shelf behind you and you can actually put your book down on the shelf behind you. And I like that. However, if you don't have a shelf, you say, Julie, here's my book and I'm putting it on the floor off to the side. Why, you ask? Because I allow you guys to take bathroom breaks. And I need to know where your book and all of your notebooks are. Fair enough? My other option is to say no potty breaks for 4 hours. So what do you guys think? Books closed with you or no bathroom break? Okay, we seem to be on a board. So everybody good with that? I also need to know, I need to see that your phone is off. Now, this is what I've learned from experience. None of us know how to power down our phone. So please don't try to turn your phone off during the check-in process. Instead, turn your phone off, hit the button and show me that it doesn't light up. Does that make sense? Because if we wait for everybody to figure out how to turn their phone off, we're not going to get started at 9. So turn your phone off before you check in, hit the button and show me that it doesn't light up. So this is our one-on-one time. This is what we're doing together while we're logging on early. So I can see your space. This is a closed book exam, you guys. So we're logging on to Zoom. And then when the exam begins, I'll give you class marker. When we log on to Zoom though, no virtual backgrounds, which I don't think anybody in this class has had a virtual background. So we're good there. And then no dimly lit spaces. The point is that I need to be able to see you guys and you need to be front and center in your camera. I've had a hard time keeping you guys front and center. Test day, I need you front and center. I can't see the top of your head. I can't see your ceiling. I need to see you. If I can't see you, I can only assume that you're cheating. So you need to adjust your camera so it stays on you the whole time. You can only have 2 tabs open on your computer. You're going to log on to Zoom. So when you log on to Zoom, you need to shut down everything else before the exam begins. I give you the link for class marker. You guys are going to minimize Zoom. You're not going to look at Zoom. You're going to look at your exam. But I need you guys on Zoom so I can see you. By the way, I will have help on Thursday. There's another instructor that's going to be with me to help monitor, proctor you guys. Her name is Anika Bartley. She teaches post-licensing with Carolina School of Real Estate. So we'll call Anika your carrot. Anytime during the exam, unfortunately, I'm your only friend. I am the only person that you can communicate with during the exam. You can only communicate with me, and the only acceptable form of communication is direct message in Zoom. Never, ever, ever unmute yourself for any reason. You need to go to the bathroom, you say, Julie, BRB. You need to get another piece of paper, you say, Julie, getting paper. You send me a direct message in Zoom for anything you have to say during this test. If you unmute yourself, you're going to lose your test. I know some of you have worked really hard to be here, and I'm doing everything in my power to eliminate all distractions that I can. You guys all know at home, you're taking your tests in a distraction-free zone. I'm the only person you can communicate with, and if you're leaving your camera for any reason, you need more water, tell me in the chat. You need to adjust the thermostat, tell me in the chat. Everybody good on that? You leave your camera, you tell me in a private chat, never ever unmute yourself. So once we get everybody checked in, I'll put the link in the chat. You guys click on the link and start your exam. Again, you'll minimize Zoom. I'll actually look at that in a second. You get 4 hours from when we start. Again, I'm going to try really hard to get us started as close to 9 as what we can. That depends on you guys when we can get you checked in, when we can get you started. So again, I ask you to please be early. Passing is a 75%. You're going to see your results immediately. So you hit submit, it says, are you sure? And you say yes, and boom, pass, fail. It'll tell you right then and there. Additionally, you also get an email from Class Marker that gives you the breakdown of the different categories. Like you guys did in the midterm, and you got that email. I know some of you are taking the practice exam. You get your results. So you'll get that email to you separately. Once you begin, you click on the chat and the link for Class Marker. You put in your name and the address you want your results sent to. And then you see this. This is just a reminder that this is a closed book exam. No communicating in any way, shape, or form during the exam. I cannot ask questions during the exam. You can't take pictures, screenshots. This is a closed book. This is a private exam. This exam and your state exam, you cannot talk about this with anybody. Some of you may know people in pre-licensing. Some of you may know people in another class. Some of you may know each other in this class. I don't know who you guys know. You cannot talk about the exam with anybody. Failure to do so could lead in disciplinary action. You think I'm kidding? couple months ago in the e-bulletin, the Real Estate Commission took down about 10 people that it was discovered after they got their license, they were sharing exam information. They disciplined 10 of them. They caught a whole study group ring, y'all. How did they catch them? I have no idea. If we suspect you cheating, if Anika or I expect you cheating during the exam, we're instructed to take your exam right then and let you follow up and deal with the Real Estate Commission. I'm not going to deal with it. Lane's not going to deal with it. We're going to send you straight down to the commission and let them deal with it. So you just read this, make sure you're good on this. Then you click start. You guys will remember from your midterm, you get one question per screen. You can go backwards and forwards. You also have the ability to bookmark a question. If you read it and you don't know the answer, then bookmark it so you can go back to it. I do always suggest that you guys save the math for last. Always do the math last. So you may want to bookmark the math. So you make sure you go back to it. Of the math, do your how much does the buyer have to bring to closing last, because that's the one that'll take you the longest. Every screen on the exam has a link that says see all questions. And when you do that, there'll be another little box that pops up. It'll tell you which ones are answered, unanswered, or bookmarked. I need you guys to click on see all questions before you hit submit. The very last thing you're going to do is click on see all questions to make sure everything says answered. Because if you don't answer it, you're not going to get credit for it. So if nothing else, just guess. You do have a countdown clock on each screen, so you can keep half an eye on it. I don't want you guys studying the clock. I guess if you send me an email, I'll be happy to reply with that information. You can flip through your book too, but just send me an email, please. So you have a countdown clock. Unfortunately, you guys, if I need to communicate with you for any reason during the exam, the only way I can do that is to unmute myself. So if I'm unmuting myself, I'm trying to do it gently so I don't startle you. But if we are still here with 10, 15 minutes left, I will probably unmute myself just to make sure you guys are watching your time. Historically, that's been the only time I've had to unmute myself. But I do want to make sure you guys are keeping up with your time. When you pass, when you click on submit, it says sure, and you say yes, and it says congratulations, you passed. 75% is passing. Lane will be in touch with further instructions. And those further instructions will include your certificate of completion. That certificate of completion is the last piece you need to submit your application to the Real Estate Commission. You're ready to submit your application now. Maybe you want to wait a couple months, whatever. Just make sure you keep that email from Lane, because when you are ready to submit the application, you need that email from Lane. Check your spam. So when you pass, Lane will be in touch. Give her a minute to process everything, but she will be in touch with you. If you don't pass, but you make at least a 50%, you're eligible for the retake on March 13th, Monday, March 13th. If you're eligible for the retake, Lane will be in touch with further instructions. Rules for the retake or the exam are the same. The exam is not. Please remember the end of course exam. I got somebody asking about math. It's in the end of course exam review. That end of course exam review applies to both exams, this and the retake. If you don't make a 50%, you're not eligible for the retake, and Lane will be in touch with you. So what I'm telling you, pass, fail, or eligible for the retake, Lane will be in touch with you. Just be patient with Lane. She's processing everything. But just know you need to be on the lookout for an email with Lane with further instructions. Any 3 scenarios, pass, fail, or eligible for the retake. And then the last, well, one of the last things, all the what ifs. What if you lose power? What if your internet goes down? I had a couple of you today that are having internet issues. What if, what if, what if? Stop and breathe, first off. Before I give you guys the class marker exam, the thing I'm going to do right before I give you the exam is I'm going to put my phone number in the chat. And at that time, I'm going to tell you guys to put my phone number on your blank piece of paper. So if you lose power, if you lose internet, you turn your phone back on and you just call me, just reach out to me. And I don't have a crystal ball. I can't tell you what may or may not go wrong during the exam, but what I do know is that we will get through it. We will get through it. I've had people lose internet during the exam. I've had people lose power during the exam. It could happen. I need you to breathe and know that we will get through it. Doesn't that just seem like good advice when you're working with buyers and sellers? We will get through it. So I'll put my number in the chat. You guys all take my number and write it down on your blank piece of paper, and then I give you the link. What questions do I have about Thursday? I got some tips and tricks for you too. But before we do tips and tricks, what questions do I have on Thursday? For Thursday. If you don't, let's see, if you make less than a 50%, do you have to take class all over again? Yes. If you don't pass the first time, or if you don't pass the retake, you've got to retake the class. I do know Lane will let you retake it for a discount. I don't know exactly what that cost is, but I do know she'll let you retake it for a discount. 112 questions on my exam, 112. Good question. Can you read out loud? Okay, thank you. That's a great question. I need to know when I'm looking at you that you're reading a test question to yourself out loud versus sitting here having a full-blown conversation with somebody else in the room. Do you guys see the difference? I need to know. So can you read out loud? Yes, I'll let you. I'll let you move your mouth, but I need to know that that's what you're doing and you're not chit-chatting with somebody else in the room. PSI Testing Center will let you move your mouth, but you can't be out loud because there's other people next to you testing. You can move your mouth when you read. Just make sure I know that's what you're doing. Fair enough? Okay. What else for Thursday? So somebody says, let's see, your cram course Annie told you on Saturday not to study the book anymore because it's too late. Focus on the material that she gave you. Seems like good advice to me. You guys don't forget, I got an end of course exam review in the Campbell folder. You want to know what's going to be on your test? You want to know what's going to be in your retake? End of course exam review. It's in the Campbell folder. I agree with Annie. If you're still reading the book word for word, we're past that. I think these next couple of days, you guys should be looking at her material, looking at the end of course exam review, and taking those practice tests. You guys remember, we got 3 comprehensive final exams for you guys. 2 are in the online learning system, and 1's in your book. So take those practice tests. That is a Lane question. Jessica, that's a Lane question. Anything else? Everybody understands once I give you that link, I cannot answer any more questions about pre-licensing material. That's something that comes up sometimes too. What's this word mean? I cannot help you. May I offer some tips and tricks? Things for Thursday. I think the biggest piece of advice I can offer you, the best thing I can tell you to do during your exam is just breathe. Remember to breathe. It's so important. You guys get excited. You flip the screen and you see a question. You say, oh my God, I've never seen this before in my entire life. And you start freaking out. Stop and breathe. Take yourself a few big, deep breaths. Get yourself centered. Get yourself focused. I need you to breathe and read. Read and breathe. I need you to read every single word of the question and every single word of the answer. Are we all in agreement that it's get tricky? Are we all in agreement that one word can change the meaning of the whole thing? We've seen it. We've done enough practice questions. We know. Applies to the test day. Make sure you're reading every single word, every single question and answer. How many of you are guilty of this? How many of you have changed a right answer wrong? Come on, I'm putting my hand up too. How many of you stop it? Stop it right now. Most of the time, your first initial answer is the right answer. Stop it. Stop second guessing yourself. If you read it and you don't know, that's the one that you bookmark. If you read it and you answer it and you go back, that's when you second guess yourself, and it's easy to change it. Guys, pre-Zoom, Lane and I had to sit down and grade these tests by hand. And I know numerous of students that changed so many answers. It was the difference of pass or fail. Stop it right now. Like we said, go back, check your CL questions, make sure everything says answered. If you don't answer it, you're not going to get credit for it. So make sure you answer any skip questions. We've been saying save the math for last. Always bookmark the math. Save it for the end because the math is what's going to take you the longest. By the way, answer your skip questions. Save the math for last. Oh, I was going to say something and I just lost it. And I'm sure it's going to be like profound. Oh, if you read the question and you don't know, part of the reason why we're bookmarking it, have you guys noticed in your practice questions that maybe a question 5 questions from now says something that triggers? So by skipping a question, maybe you'll see a future test question that can trigger it. So if you read it and you say, I have no idea, that's a good one to bookmark. Question comes in about the class marker final practice exam and the Campbell only. That's a comprehensive, that's just for practice. That's not your final exam. That's just a practice. I'm not releasing that thing until Thursday morning. Good try though. I appreciate that. So we want you guys to get practice. Again, 3 comprehensive exams, 2 in the online learning system, 1 in your book. Take your time, but watch your time. Again, don't stare at the clock, but know when 4 hours is up, class marker cuts your exam. This isn't me cutting you off in 4 hours. Class marker is programmed to turn down off in 4 hours. So keep half an eye on that clock. Between now and Thursday, y'all don't spend all your waking hours studying. There is such a thing as overstudying. There is such a thing as studying too much. I need you guys to study between now and Thursday, but don't spend all your waking hours. Go do something else to clear your brain. I need you guys to get a good night's sleep Wednesday night. Pick a time Wednesday night. And at some time on Wednesday night, you've got to close your book. At some point on Wednesday night, you've got to know that you know what you know. You know? So you pick a time, give yourself time, your brain time to relax. What do you like to do to relax? Give yourself time Wednesday night to take a break, relax, clear your brain, get a good night's sleep, eat a light meal, get something on your stomach. I don't think you should go hit up Golden Corral or anything, but get yourself, you know, a decent breakfast so you're not listening to your tummy grumble the whole time. And again, just breathe, keep calm and breathe. We wish you guys the absolute best, not only for both of your exams, but also your new career in real estate. It's so exciting. We got to get you through these tests. The other thing I would like to share with you guys, Lane will also send you an email after class with a survey for the class. It's anonymous. Your feedback is so important to us. It's so appreciative. That helps us determine how we can grow, how I can grow as an instructor, and how we can grow at a school. So please consider submitting your feedback when Lane sends a survey. What else? Questions on Thursday? Comments about Thursday? You guys are so quiet today. Everybody's good? Guys, we're done. Say a little woohoo. We did it. So that's what we're going to do. As far as I'm concerned, we're done. If you want to go, go. Time will end now, so it can't count against you if you leave early. I will stay on the call. We need to take a break. I do need to take a break. So we're going to take a 10-minute break. If you want to stay on the call, when we come back, I'm leaving the last hour open for like a free-for-all. So Q&A, if there's something, a topic you want to go over, something you want to review, if there's a question you want to ask, come back in 10 minutes and we'll go through it. If you want to go, go. Fair enough? All right, so let's take 10. If you're logging out now, I'll see you early Thursday morning. If you want to stick around for Q&A, I'll see you in 10 minutes.